Hi, this is Pierre Vidacote working at Planet Technologies. This topic is maybe one of the hot topic that I address a lot of time with customers. It's when to use what, but not for everything in Office 365, but mostly in Teams. People are still struggling with Teams for collaboration, so I thought it will be helpful to share some advice. Uh, Again, those advice are uh, probably contextual to not every customer, but I think it works well for most of them. So first, I wanted to share this sort of diagram to explain the kind of usage you have in Teams for collaboration. So from an organization perspective, you can have a team with all the employees. That's called an org-wide team. It's public. Everybody is in the team, and that's mainly used to do some announcement, share important information broadly, and it's transparent. Everybody sees everything in all the channels. Then there are often we can see departmental teams um, with information that are useful for a department. Um, Usually the public. Uh, I must say that some customers still create the silo, making the departmental team private, but it's a good practice to make it public. And sometimes inside this departmental team, there are um, private channels that are not public to anybody in the team to have private conversation. I will elaborate on this just after. That's why I fill it so it's not transparent. And then I think the biggest use case you can find in Teams is for a project. When you have a project, you have several people from different departments working together, or from the same department working together, but it's a subset of people, and they're working transparently in a project team. Once again, the good practice to make it public. Uh, Public doesn't mean that people are gonna be in the team by default. Everyone won't be in the team by default. They need to search for the team, join the team, but it's easier if they have to join the team to find the team and maybe find information that are useful to them. Um, but once again, I've seen a lot of people default to, unfortunately, to a private team. But let's say it's a public team, so it's transparent. Everybody can see everything that is in the team. And finally, another way to collaborate, even on documents. Uh, when you want to collaborate with a small amount of people, it's not a collaboration that's going to last. You're probably going to have an individual based uh, collaboration and impromptu collaboration. And so that's you can use group chat for that. It depends if you're manipulating a lot of documents. Might not be easy if you do that. But most of the time, when we are a small group, just for a few days, when we want to collaborate on documents, either than dropping a file in OneDrive and sending email back and forth, it's better to have a group chat, put the document in the group chat, and collaborate in the group chat. Since behind the scenes, it will be stored in OneDrive. So that's a big overview of the type of collaboration in teams. So now let's see a few use cases. So the organization, I'm going to give the example of an HR team. So if you have an HR team that is all, open to everybody, everybody is in the team. It's an org-wide team. Um, Probably because you want to communicate to all end users, all people, share important documents that are, accessible to everybody. But those documents, you don't want them to be in the default standard, which is everybody can edit the documents, because there the team is not to collaborate, it's more to communicate and let people ask questions on those documents that should be in read-only mode. So for that purpose, usually what you have HR SharePoint site with all the documents accessible to everybody, but in read-only mode. So you can manage the permission in SharePoint. You can have also a nice design to present the information in the SharePoint site. But what if you want people to ask questions, not sending email about those files? You know, there's a 401k, you have a specific question on the 401k. You don't want to edit the 401k, but you still want to have to ask a question. So either you send an email, and maybe this email will be sent 1,000 times to the same person, asking the same question and having the same answer. So instead of that, in your wide team, you can, through the add storage in your file tab, you can add storage coming from SharePoint, from the HR department, and you will see them in the file tab, just like if they were stored in the team, but not, they are external, and you will see they are read-only. So that's, and then I can open the document and and I won't be able to modify it, but I will be able to have a conversation around this document, ask questions, and it will be visible to everybody. So that's an example that I think is useful when you have an org-wide team. So when you have a departmental team, let's take again HR. HR is a department like IT, and by the way, you can replace your HR by any type of department. You want to work together on HR topics, tons of topics like, you know, onboarding, hiring, training, whatever. So then you just need to create a team for the department. Usually the IT is creating the team for the department because for any kind of department, because you want the IT to manage from a directory perspective, you know, who's in HR at one point. Maybe tomorrow people will leave HR, maybe new people will be hired in HR, or whatever division your department you're creating the team for. So if IT manage that, they can manage identity as a group, so the ins and outs are managed automatically by IT. So you don't have to bother. And so, but you know, if you don't, you can invite people manually if it's also an option. It might be, if you have a big company with a big HR department, it might be not that simple. It's simple, but it's bothersome. So you might want to ask IT to create a team for each department. But what if in your department you have the need, and once again, HR wants to gather all the managers and have ongoing conversation with them on confidential documents. You can imagine in HR, it's really the case. It's also the case in finance. Maybe finance wants to have a discussion with a group of managers coming from different department. So then there are several options, but my recommendation is to create a dedicated HR and manager teams, or finance and managers team. So when people join the team, they know what it is about. It's about a conversation between HR and managers. And you make it private. You make this team private, so people won't be able to join unless you give them a code or you invite them. So department confidential, I will create a dedicated team. Some people might think they will need a private channel, but I will explain why I won't use a private channel. So, but for example, if each department has managers, directors, and they want to have ongoing private discussion with HR. So for the department, they want for HR, for IT, for finance, for whatever business unit, they want to have a private discussion with HR. Then they might want to create a private channel in their own team, departmental team. Then this private channel will be only accessible to the HR people who are involved and the managers who are involved in the department. So that's, I think, the case, and I've seen that case in finance also. When you have to discuss, when finance has to discuss with each department individually, not globally, then they are invited in a private channel in the department. And that's, I think, the only case to use private channel, because private channels are really, technically, they're very different. To manage a private channel, it's not that easy because it's not the same permission from the team, obviously. And it's, if people are leaving the team, it can be a struggle to manage. And also there are missing features like there's no um, calendar app. There's no meeting. You cannot have a channel meeting in a private channel. And there are other features that are, not available in a private channel. And there might be some retention problem, but I think that it was fixed. But it's not. Private channel are different, and it's really, I think, narrowing the use cases to what you really can't do with that private channel is probably this kind of use case is the best way to use private channels. You could also create a dedicated team, but then you will have a dedicated team for each department. There might be a lot of team at the end of the day, so it's a balance. You have to decide what is the best balance, but this is my recommendation in general. Um, then when HR wants to discuss with a manager, not all the managers, on hot topic, for example. So when I mean HR, maybe several people from HR wants to discuss about a topic, about how they can train their team, how they can raise their team, or whatever subjects, sensitive subject they want to discuss. Then probably you want to create a group chat. I'm not sure if you want really to create a private channel or private team just for that purpose, because there might not be a lot of conversation, a lot of document, especially maybe there will be conversation, but might not be a lot of documents exchanged. You might not need to structure those documents, so you can use group chat for that. And you can still even share documents. And in the file tabs, when you're in group chat, there's a file tab where you can find all the documents you shared with the people in the group chat. So I think group chat is a best option for what I call individual manager confidential, discussions. Um, let's also discuss about a use case. When a director is working with his or her executive assistant, which is often the case in big organization, to manage travel plans or whatever activities that the exec assistant is supporting. Still use definitely a chat. So it's not a group chat, just the exec assistant and director. They still can share documents. They can even share a OneNote. So in the OneNote, the exec assistant can, copy all the itinerary information for travel with the hotel, the flight, whatever is needed, and centralize it in OneNote and discuss in the chat about some details that are stored in the OneNote or in other files. So that kind of use case is really very useful. And the project definitely is, I think, the most common use case for teams. So, for example, if it's HR might have a new project to build a new or work with a new with new training vendors or whatever, um, and they might want to discuss that in a subset of people with a subset of people. So create a team there. And you will, when you are in the team, you know exactly what is the subject. You can have different channels if you want to have subtopics of discussion. But at least you're in the team, it's clear what is the purpose, you know who's going to be there, and you can discuss everything with people. That's an example of project. You also have project when you mix internal and external users. So same thing, create a team, dedicated team to manage this project. I just will suggest you to, in the name of the team, to figure out a naming convention where right away you know that there are guests in the teams, because you might not have the same conversation if you know that guests are in the team that if they're not. So it can be a visual, it can be text in the name of the team, but that's another example of creating a team. So you can have a dedicated team. Once again, you know exactly what it is about when you're in the team. Um, so let's discuss a little bit about the group chat. As you can see, a group chat, you can add several people. I don't remember the limits, but it's really too big to be, uh, so you won't ever have the limit, I think. And you have two parts, the chat, so where the conversation is occurring, and the files, where every time you drag and drop a file in the chat, it will be stored in your OneDrive. The person who's drag and dropping the file in the chat will see there's a dedicated folder in your OneDrive where the file will be stored, and the permission will be set to the people who are in the group chat. So it's pretty easy, and you can have a conversation. It's mostly used, group chat is mostly used to discuss about a few things all together with a group of people. Now it's extended to external users, so you can even invite somebody who's in team but not in tenant to have this discussion. So it can be very helpful, as I said earlier. Also, in the Teams channel, so really, when you want to work with several documents, because group chat, if you have several documents, it's not that easy to work because there's no structure, and there's no subtopic, for example. So there you need a team. You need to create a team, and you need to create a channel for subtopics. So you segment your discussions by topics. Like in my world, we have project. We work on different technical aspects. So if we're doing a project where we're gonna, I don't know, let's say migrate Exchange to Exchange Online, going to SharePoint Online, going to OneDrive Online, going to Teams Online. We might need to do some work on security, whatever. So maybe we're gonna do change management. So maybe we create a channel by big topic. So usually what we do at Planet, we have a channel for collaboration that embeds Team SharePoint OneDrive. There's a channel for infrastructure. So it's everything about directory, about Exchange, and there's might be a directory about compliance, might be a channel about security, and there's definitely channel for OCM. So I'm only working in the OCM channel, and from time to time I take a look at what's going on, especially in the collab channel, to see if there were some governance decision made that have an impact on end users. But basically, you use as many channels as work stream in a way, or topics, subject of interest, to segment things. So when you're in a channel, you know right away what is a topic, and that's where you need to work on this topic. It's key to understand that behind teams and channels, there is a SharePoint. There's a SharePoint site, and the weight structure. There's a SharePoint site that is basically it's the name of the team, and there are folders in the document library. So there's a document library with folders, and the folders are the channels. So there's one folder for general because it's always a general channel. You cannot rename it, you cannot delete it. And there's one folder per channel. So you need to understand this because sometimes for when you're advanced, you might want to jump in SharePoint to do more stuff, which is really not the case for private channels. There's one exception for private channel. So private channels, then there's a dedicated SharePoint site that is created for this private channel. Even if there's a team, it's in a team, so it's separate. There's some logical bridge, so you can jump from one to the other easily, but it's totally different. That's why it's a little bit more complicated to manage. So there's for each private channel you're creating a team, there's a dedicated SharePoint site. So also you need to understand that and moderate how you use private channels. So that's about it. I know there's way more to discuss about the team's usages. I've almost 100 videos on Teams, so you can find out more on my YouTube channel. But I think this kind of conversation has to happen with not all the end users, but the people who are going to create teams owners, whoever they are, having this discussion, to walk through what are the potential teams and when you create a team, when you don't need to create a team. But once again, the main thing to remember is team is collaboration in context. So that means you're not using email anytime. You shouldn't use email anytime to discuss any topic about the subject that is in Teams. You have a team, you have a channel, you can post something in the channel, you can share the documents. You don't share a document in email. This is, from another age. So discuss everything in Teams. And maybe at the beginning it's not that easy because you need to change behaviors, you need to change the way people are working. Also, you need to understand that people are very comfortable with what they do today. So very comfortable with Outlook, even if they have too many emails, they complain about emails, but they're very comfortable with the tools, not only the tools, but the behaviors behind the tools. So it's not that easy up front. So you need to educate people. From time to time, what I do with new users, when I see that it's still sending email, I forward the email into the team, just to redirect people in the team. Also, when I see that people are not, connected to the team, don't see the notification in Teams for whatever reason, at the beginning, I send an email. I take the post that is in the team, and I send it as an email to the people that I was trying to reach in the team. So that way they will receive an email, because it's still the way they behave. But they will have a link to a post, so they will have to click on the link to see what is said. and they will gradually go into Teams and start to use Teams because there's a lot of benefits. And the main benefits is to work in context, have all the information already organized for you, already in the right channel, and you already right away you know what it is. When you're in email, everything is flat at the same level. Whoever is sending you an email, you everything is on the same level, and after a while, it disappears. So in Teams, the benefit is it's already segmented in the team, in the channel, so you're in context, and maybe you have also other tabs that give you some more context. So I hope this went to use what in Teams presentation was useful for, especially for newcomers to Teams, and talking about Teams for collaboration because I know that Teams meetings, Team chat, people are very used to that. So hope it was helpful.